All right, before I begin this lesson, I want to give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem, Rakah, Quadash, for giving me the spirit to do this lesson, Lord, willing us edifying to the elect. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of great millstone, who rule well, who I learned this truth from, the leaders of all Israel in these end times. Shalom to you, Akwaf in order, that may be watching and learning. And shalom to you brothers on the highways and hedges, teaching this gospel in all sincerity and in truth. And shalom to you, Israelites scattered abroad that may look like these other nations, but your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, making you a Hebrew Israelite, regardless of your appearance, because this ain't about color. It's about the chosen seed line, according to the lineage of the Father. All right? So, I don't know what the title of this lesson is. Maybe something along the lines of Chariot sightings have been increasing, because they have, and it's just kind of what I want to touch on in this lesson, because I've come across a few clips lately of chariot sightings, and it's my duty to let you know that these so-called UFOs, which the Bible calls chariots of the Lord, these are in the Bible. These are very much biblical. The Bible speaks of these, and this is how the elect of Israel will be delivered from the destruction that's coming, okay? And when this destruction comes, the Bible calls this day, this great and terrible day, the day of the Lord. Okay, so what's going to happen is these so-called UFOs will be showing up worldwide on that day, and they would deliver the elect of Israel. Okay, so I just want to touch on this in this lesson, show you these clips that I've come across as of late, and Lord willing, you find this lesson edifying. All right, so what I want to do is the first clip I want to show you is this one right here. Check this out, man. Now, this has been circulating lately, and, skeptics are calling it a balloon, as you see written down there. I want to rewind it a little bit, because this type of thing has happened before. And this is not AI, by the way, okay? This is a real incident that happened, and a pilot caught this on film. Check this out. I'm going to slow it down and freeze it right about here. Now, that is the shape of a typical, what the world calls a flying saucer. Okay, you can see it pretty clear right there. All right, that is not a balloon, okay? How often you see a balloon whizzing at that speed, and that shape? Come on, man. It's the typical shape of what they call a flying saucer. The Bible calls this a chariot of the Lord. This is what the angels fly around in. In most cases, some of them can be unmanned, like the very small ones. Like this appears to be very small. Could be unmanned, who knows? But, a lot of these sightings are manned by the angels. This is what the angels fly around in. They don't fly around with wings coming out their back as depicted in Christianity, okay? That's what makes people not want to believe in the scriptures, because it just sounds like a whole bunch of nonsense, okay? Like people with these big feathered wings, gigantic heavy wings coming out their back. All right, so anyway, without further ado, I want to read to you a scripture in the book of Zechariah, chapter 5. starting at verse 1. It says, "Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll." Okay, now this roll is, what you would call UFO today. Now, Zechariah saw this. He was given a vision by an angel, and he saw this, and it appeared to him to be a flying roll, which, back then a roll would be interpreted as a scroll. Okay, so this is the shape of it. It looked like the shape of a giant cylinder type shape. Okay, so let's just quickly go to the Blue Letter Bible. Okay, and let's look up this, because it's important for you to know. Let's look up this, where's Zechariah? Let's look up this word roll real quick. You have to forgive me, I'm quite tired, it's quite late. Alright, so we're gonna start here. Flying roll. See where it says roll there? Let's click on that. So you can see here the pronunciation of it in the Hebrew is megala. And if you see right here, it says roll, book, or writing. So, it'd be like what you would consider a scroll. Back in the days, it appeared to him to look like a scroll. Okay, which is a cylinder type of shape of UFO. Okay. Now, this is what Zechariah saw as we read in verse 1. Now, I want to show you a quick video of a particular sighting. And this happened maybe a year ago. And this is the type of thing that Zechariah saw as we read in verse 1. Check this out.
Okay, this is from the 20... Mate, look at the footage coming from Chile, okay, of some strange glowing type cigar-shaped object floating across the ocean. This was seen on 2 different perspectives, okay? This is from the...
So, yeah, a cigar shape, basically. That's what Zechariah saw when he said he saw a flying roll. Alright.
22nd, so a few days ago. What is going on? What is that about, mate? Is it a sky squid? They've got a freaking interdimensional party going on up there. Is there a little letterbox opening between realities and they're just peering through? I do not know, mate. Okay, there's a second piece of footage I'm about to show you now of someone else seeing the same exact thing.
These heathen are dismayed at the signs of heaven, man. They don't have the answers for these things. They think it's little green men, little aliens getting ready to take over the earth. It's crazy, man. They're all hyped up off these Hollywood movies and stuff, propagandized.
Look at it! Look at the state of it, bro. Alright, this is the second piece of footage that we've seen. Look, this is huge. Right, we've seen this object popping up all around the world. We've seen it on NASA live feeds. We've seen this in Germany from the early 2000s. We've seen so many different things of this object appearing, okay? And I don't want to get a little bit freaky deaky with you guys and girls, but, there's a certain little someone that said there will be major signs coming from the ocean. And over this past month so far, we've had a lot of weird freaky deaky stuff appearing. What is that about? Okay? I don't know.
Anyway, that's enough of that. So you get the idea. There was a sighting over Chile. I believe this was in sometime in
Russia,
2025.
Mate, look at the footage coming.
That this happened. Okay, Slovakia. So that's what Zechariah saw when he said he saw a flying scroll. So let's continue on. Let's read verse 2. It says, "And he said unto me, What seest thou?" So the angel said unto Zechariah, the prophet Zechariah, What do you see? And I answered," this is Zechariah speaking now, he said, "And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof is 10 cubits, which isn't a very big chariot. It says in verse 3, it says, Then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. Okay, because, these chariots are considered the eyes of the Lord. And what they do is they go around the earth and, they are taking record of what's going on in the earth. They're watching major events take place. They're there a lot of the times when volcanoes erupt during, live feed on, I believe it's over 30 volcanoes worldwide have 24-hour live feed. So most of the time when these volcanoes erupt, you'll see the chariots there, almost like they know it's going to happen, because these angels are the watchers. They are the ones watching over the earth, man. They're the eyes of the Lord, and they report back to the Most High Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, the things that are going on in the world, okay? So it says that this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. Now, the reason it's called a curse, right, is because these are gonna take a big, play a big part in the destruction of America, okay? And it's not a curse for the elect. It's a curse for the masses, the multitude of this earth, which are the ones that are getting ready to perish, which is 2/3 of our people, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the speckled birds, and also the heathen. Okay, so a lot of people are getting ready to perish from these so-called UFOs on the day of the Lord, okay? Because the angels are coming to get busy, okay, on the day of the Lord. So this is the curse that goeth forth over the whole face of the whole earth. It says, in verse 3, it says, for everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it. Now that's speaking about Esau, Edom, because he is the thief that cometh not but for to steal, kill, and to destroy, pursuant to the book of John, chapter 10 and verse 10. Okay, so he's the thief that this is talking about. Okay, he's the one that steals. Okay, he's the thief that cometh to steal, kill, and to destroy. Now, let me just quickly, I'm going to turn back to this, but let me quickly turn to the book of Exodus, right? Chapter 21 and verse 16. Because it states here, it says, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, right? This is in the law. It says, he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Now, who stole the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans and put them in slavery and still have them in their possession unto this very day? It's the so-called white man, who are the rulers of the earth. The main ones that took us and put us into slavery, the ones that were under, they're the modern day Pharaoh, okay, is what I'm trying to say. They're the ones that are afflicting the Israelites in this last captivity. Okay, and we still remain in his hands. He refuses to let us go, just like ancient Pharaoh. So he stole us. He stole a man and sold a man. He sold him, which is us. And we're still going to be found in his hands when the Lord returns. So when the Lord returns, Esau will be put to death. This is why, these chariots are a curse unto the people of this world, man. Okay, everyone down with Esau's system. Okay, so let's read that again, verse 3, Zechariah 5 and 3. It says, then said he unto me, this is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth, for everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it. So Esau's getting ready to be cut off, and there's plenty of scriptures that back this up. All right. It says, and every one that sweareth shall be cut off as on this side according to it. You know, going into making oaths. It says in verse 4, it says, I will bring it forth, saith Yahweh of hosts, which is the Most High of armies. Hosts means armies, right? Because the Lord is a man of war. It says, and it shall enter. Okay, let me read it from the top again. It says, I will bring it forth, saith Yahweh of hosts, right? So the chariots are coming on the day of the Lord. It says, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, which is America, because the Edomites, the thieves, they are ruling the world from America. That's their hub. That's their beehive. That's their the hammer of the whole earth. That's where they rule the world from, is America. And the kingdom of heaven can't come until America, aka Esau, Edom, is destroyed. Okay? Because America is synonymous with Edom. Okay? So it says, I will bring it forth, saith Yahweh of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name. Okay, so this is going into Esau. Okay, it says, and it shall remain in the midst of his house, and shall consume it with the timber thereof, and the stones thereof. So America's going to be destroyed not only by nuclear missiles, but by the laser beams coming from those chariots. Okay, I'm going to show you a video or two more, another video or two, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to read another scripture that shows you how the Lord is coming to make war with Esau, Edom. Okay, check this out. There's a couple little sightings that have happened as of late. Check this one.
Pulled to the side of the road. So I actually had to pull to the side of the road, see if I could get a good shot of this. You can barely see it, looks like a dot here, but it's actually huge. And there was stuff coming out from the bottom of it.
This is the curse that goeth forth over the whole earth, man. Check this one out.
I just witnessed an orb being followed by a helicopter. Watch this video, it's right over my house. Yo, that is a freaking orb.
And this is exactly what I saw a few months ago. I saw this exact same looking chariot. It looked like an orb of fire, and it went right over my head when I was on my way home. Anyway, let me go ahead and continue to play, because this, you know, the chariots come in many forms, many shapes and sizes, in case you haven't noticed. All right. And this still happens to be one of them. And a lot of people dismiss it as Chinese lanterns, but it's not. Okay. Chinese lanterns don't just fly around randomly, you know, in different areas of the world. Chinese lanterns are let off in multiple lanterns at a time for certain events, certain things that, you know, they're lighting them off for. Anyway.
That's an orb being chased by a helicopter. What the hell? That is a straight up orb, dude. Being followed by a freaking helicopter.
Now, you think that the government don't have HD images of these things? They do, but they're not going to release it to the public. Look how close that helicopter was. You think they weren't taking pictures or videos of that thing? See, Esau don't want you knowing about these things. He don't want you questioning about it. He don't want you knowing too much about what they are, because it's not good news for them. It's the angels of the Lord. They don't want you to find this out. Okay, so they don't want you seeing a lesson like what I'm doing right now, because we're chipping away at the lies when we do these lessons. Anyway, like I said, the chariots come in many shapes and forms. Check this one out. This one just so happened to look like a damn jellyfish. This is crazy. You can't make this up. Check this out.
You've probably seen this photo floating around the internet at the moment, and it's absolutely sending people into a frenzy. But I've managed to find the actual video for it, right? So, he's going to zoom in his lovely camera here, and he's going to try and focus up, and you will see this object manifest, right? It is absolutely incredible. So this was filmed on the 16th of February on 2020 in Brazil at 8:45 p.m, okay? There's not much else to this apart from the fact that he was complimenting how beautiful this thing was, what it looked like, how it kind of glided through the wind and as it was flying across. And he says, notice that nothing on the UFO itself is actually blowing around. So I think he's trying to reference the tentacles there. Everything is pretty static in nature, which is rather interesting, given probably about how high this thing is. And I'm going to say it's probably quite high up in the sky. Look at this, bruv. Look at that, okay? What is shaped like that? And
I'd love to see people dismiss this as a balloon. What kind of balloon looks like that? Some will say it's a kite or a drone. Whatever. You wish. Keep trying. It's the curse that goes forth over the whole earth. And they come in many shapes and sizes, man.
for those of you that don't know or know, these things have been reported around the world so much over the years, even more so now, of just strange atmospheric phenomena. And with Skywatchers, this is now in a classification system of UFOs, UAPs, whatever you want to call them, okay? So these things are very real. People report having electromagnetic...
He's probably watching the prophets. Because Brazil, you know, there's a lot of Israelites in Brazil. You know, most of them Brazilians are Israelites, man. Anyway, I want to show you a quick video, and then I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna read that Second Ezra chapter 13 that I was saying I was gonna read, because Trump, as of late, if you don't know, he's apparently planning to he's got a speech prepared apparently. And he plans to disclose that there's alien life or something like that. You know what I mean? which it ain't aliens, okay? He's trying to deceive you and trying to distract you from these Epstein files, man. Okay, they gotta come with major distractions, but don't fall for it, okay? There ain't no aliens, okay? These are the angels of the Lord. I'm going to show you in this lesson anyway. Check this out.
Look at all these all the tabloids have picked up this story. Look at all these tabloid headlines. According to a UK filmmaker, writer, and ufologist, Mark Christopher Lee, he claims he was informed by an advisor on the Trump team. Trump has been given the green light by other global leaders to move on with the announcement. So, you know, now would be a good time for that. You know, I think that people can handle this information, given what we've just learned from the Epstein files. Everyone's just kind of like, yeah. I mean, my mom has been on this way long ago. I have an announcement.
Anyway, I don't want to hear him do his stupid Trump impression. That's how the video ends anyway. So, first of all, I want to say Trump's hair and this other Edomite's hair looks ridiculous, man. I can't wait to see the end of these devils. You know, I'm sick of the sight of them. And that's what these chariots are coming to do. Destroy Esau's kingdom, man. Okay? Now, Trump is terrified because, you know, he's right now putting together this Space Force. As a matter of fact, I said I was going to read 2 Ezra 13, but I got a quick video I want to show you. Okay, because Trump is preparing to go to war with these angels. I think it's this video right here. Check this out. No, that's not the one. You know, that's for another lesson. Maybe it's this one.
Gonna be
Yep.
space. Gonna be a lot of things happening in space. Because space is the world's newest warfighting domain. Amid grave threats to our national security, American superiority in space is absolutely vital. And we're leading, but we're not leading by enough, but very shortly we'll be leading by a lot. The Space Force will help us deter aggression and control the ultimate high ground. With today's signing, I will proudly appoint General J. Raymond, the first Chief of Space Operations, and he will become the very first member of the Space Force, and he will be on the Joint Chiefs. He will be on the Joint Chiefs, which are now expanding by one position. That's a very powerful position. So, General Raymond, congratulations, and thank you for everything you've done.
Ooh, Yahushua is coming for you, Esau. It's over, okay? They're going to fight against the Lord. Let's show you. Let's prove it. Because the Bible speaks all about these so-called UFOs, man. It's just you have to be taught by the right people, which is the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone and the other brothers teaching that teach the same doctrine. You know? This is 2 Ezra chapter 13, starting at verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof." It says, "And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven." Now that man that waxed strong is Yahushua. Okay, and the thousands of heaven are the chariots or the angels. Okay, the angels are flying in the chariots of fire. Okay, a chariot is a vehicle. But the chariots of the Lord are his superior technology, his superior vehicles. It flies much faster than a jumbo jet or Esau's F-1 fighter jets. You know that these chariots, these so-called UFOs, are out unmatched. Esau can't compete with that. Now he has to build a poxy little space force to try and fight them. And these scriptures I'm about to read you right here, it explains that this is what they're gonna do. You know, and we're bringing it out, but it's only for the wise to consider, man. So it says, "And that man, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven." Okay, the thousands of heaven are the chariots. Let's quickly prove that, and then we'll jump back. Sorry to be jumping all over the place, but we gotta drive it home and make you understand. Psalm 68 and 17, it says, "The chariots of the Most High are 20,000, even thousands of angels." So the chariots of the Lord, the vehicles of the Lord, are the angels. Are you starting to see? It says the Lord is among them as in Sinai in the holy place. You know, going back to the story of Moses, man. Okay. So the Lord is among these chariots, man. These vehicles, these, you know, they're the eyes of the Lord. They're the vehicles of the Lord, man, of the angels. And they fly around, report back to the Lord what's going on in this world, who's been a good boy and who's been a bad boy, so to speak. All right, who's of the elect and who's not, basically, right? But it ain't about being good or bad. That was just me joking around. But yeah, so you know, that just proves that, you know, these angels, the chariots are the angels, okay? The thousands of heaven that we read in 2 Ezra 13. So let's go back to 2 Ezra 13 where we left off, right? In verse 3. So 2 Ezra 13 and 3, it says, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong, which is Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus. That man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him. So this ain't talking about him himself turning and looking. It means the chariot. Okay? Because the scriptures speak about how the Lord will not meet Esau as a man. He's coming back as an angelic force. Okay? Now, I would jump to that, but then I'm kind of taking the mick. I'll be jumping all over the place. But the scriptures speak about how the Lord will not meet Esau as a man when he comes, because he's coming down to take down his whole kingdom, man. Okay, this everything you know about this revived Roman Empire is getting ready to fall. It's getting ready to be destroyed by the angels and the nukes. Okay, which are the instruments of the Lord. Okay, that's why this place is gonna burn with fire. Anyway, so all things trembled that were seen under him. It says in verse 4, and whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. So it ain't talking about his actual voice. It means that, concentrated laser beams come out this chariot, this so-called spaceship. Okay? And that's what it's saying. It's, the best way that Esdras could describe what he was seeing. So verse 5, it says, and after this I beheld, and lo means look, there was gathered together a multitude of men, out of number, innumerable basically, right? From the four winds of heaven, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Okay, so when it says there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof, that's talking about Yahushua that came out the sea above. Okay, and that man that waxed strong, they came to subdue the man, right, out of the sea, right? That's Yahushua, who the world calls Jesus. Verse 6, it says, but I beheld. Anyway, actually, let me expound on this scripture a bit more before I go any further. So 2 Ezra 13 and 5, when it says there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number, this is talking about the armies of the earth, man. The militaries of the earth. They're all going to fight the Lord when he comes, because it's going to look like some kind of alien invasion, man. And they're coming to defend their kingdom, okay? Because they're not going out without a fight, okay? Esau is a proud devil, and he's not loosing his clutch, his claws, his grip that he has on this earth, his tentacles. He's not letting them go. So the Lord is coming to destroy him, okay, and take him out of power. So verse 6, it says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. And that mountain is not an actual mountain. It just looked like a mountain because of the size of it. He's coming in, people call it a mothership, but, we call it fathership. The father is greater than the mother, and fathership is going to be a great ship, bigger than what you call a mothership. It's going to be huge. So this is what he was seeing. A great mountain that the Lord came in. It says, but I would have seen the regional place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not, meaning he couldn't see the end of this chariot, this so-called UFO, because it was so huge. In verse 8 it says, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. Meaning they were afraid to fight, but they had to follow orders, and the Lord put the spirit on them to fight. So they're going to fight the Lord when he comes. This is why Trump, in that clip I showed you, is putting together a space force, basically a space branch of the military, a new branch of the military, Space Force, man. He wants to fight because he's a fool. He wants to fight the Lord, the creator of the heavens and the earth. He wants to fight that type of power when he comes because he's a madman. That's another upon many other reasons why this man has to be taken out of power, because he's a fool and he's a madman. He's a psychopath. In verse 9 it says, "And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came," because they're all trying to shoot upon this fathership that the Lord is coming in to deliver his elect. It's gonna blow this whole reality wide open, the day of the Lord, man. And you Christians have no clue. Okay, your sweet white Jesus ain't coming to hand out flowers and gifts in a toga with his long flowing blonde hair and blue eyes. He's not coming like that. So get over it. Verse 9, "And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came," all these armies of the earth, because they're going to stop in the middle of fighting each other during World War III, which you're seeing brewing up right now, showing you how close we are to this day. All right? They're going to stop fighting each other, and they're going to put aside their differences, like Ronald Reagan said in his famous speech about some alien threat from another planet. I wish I had that video lined up for this lesson. But that's something that he said.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
Because he knows that the Lord is coming, and he knows what the prophecies say, that they're all going to have to put their differences to fight the Lord when he comes. It says, "And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war," because he's in a spaceship, so-called. Verse 10, it says, "But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth," right, meaning out of the chariot, "as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempest." So out of the opening of this chariot, in other words, because the lips, the breath, the tongue, the mouth, it's all talking about the same opening of this chariot. He sent out all kinds of sparks, tempest, and fire, right? Flaming breath. Okay? Which is concentrated laser beams. In verse 11, this is how the kingdom of heaven is going to be established right here. Okay, because Esau's so proud. He's like, who can take me out of power? You in what army, he says. Okay, watch it. Verse 11, it says, "And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up, every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid." So Ezra was shook when he saw this day. Okay. And the remnant are going to be shook too. Scriptures speak about how the remnant were frightened. When we see the destruction of America and the destruction of Esau's army, it's going to make us shook, because it's going to be such a shock and awe campaign. Okay, Esau's about to get the shock and awe of his life. But it's going to be a beautiful day, okay? It's going to be a beautiful day for us that want to see this place fall. So anyway, you know, that goes into how, you know, they're gonna have to fight the Lord when he comes, because, you know, Esau's a proud man, you know, and he wants to hold on to his poxy little kingdom at all costs. All right, let me show you another video or two. Check this out, man.
No, jamás un globo no se queda quieto en un solo lugar.
And for the record, don't that look exactly like what flew past that airplane in that other clip? You know, this video is from, yeah, this is recent. This is from February 13th, I think. No, that's when I collected the video. But this one's still recent. This is a recent video, man. Because all the ones I've collected recently for this lesson, they're recent clips. But I do have some older ones also. They're like a year or two old. Anyway, don't that look exactly like what went past? What people are saying was a balloon. Same shape and everything pretty much, man. Okay, like I said, they come in all shapes and sizes.
Está intacto, no se está moviendo. No se mueve para ningún lado. Si fuera un globo, iría para arriba. Pero mire, se queda en el mismo punto. Esa cosa no se está moviendo, está quieto. Y si fuera globo tendría mecha, no tiene ni siquiera mecha. Amore.
Look, it was just changing shape. Look at the shape of it now. Look. You see it? You see it changing shape? Like all little different little spikes coming out of it. That ain't no drone or no balloon. It's not swamp gas.
Amor, eso no es un globo. Ahí lo estoy acercando y no se le ve mecha.
Ask AI what that is. It'll say swamp gas. AI is programmed by Esau, man. Tells you it does nothing but lie. Well, actually, it don't do nothing but lie. It lies when it wants to. Okay, because Esau don't want you knowing too much. Anyway, this next video I found very interesting. And I can't tell. Well, in a sense, it looks like a light pole. But it's a bit tall for a light pole. But when you look at the end, it is puzzling. There's only one other explanation it could be. Anyway, I just thought I found this interesting. Check this out, man.
So I'm out minding my own business. Y'all see the Coca-Cola building there, and there's Georgia Tech. What is this? What's flying in the air?
Oh,
What the hell is...
Now you can see that line coming down, and I've seen lights that look like this. I actually was driving past one the other day after I saw this video, and it looked really similar to this, what you're seeing in this video. But you see in the middle there, it looks like a pole coming down. Okay, which makes you think it's a light pole, right? But how often do you see lights this high in the sky? Check how high it is, man.
Yes. And it's like a pole going down, but it can't. That's impossible. That cannot be anything that's that high, like erect. That's Coca-Cola, honey. That's 20-something floors. So that's in the sky. What is this?
When do they ever put lights that high in the sky, man?
Come on, zoom. Don't fail me now. Oh, no. What is this in the sky? And of course, when I zoom in... Okay, I'm going to take a regular video and then zoom it in when I get in the house. But you see Georgia Tech? Something's flying over, but it looks like something's hanging down from it. And it's lighting up right in my face. Okay now. Okay. We all see this. What in the hell is that? Over Georgia Tech. What can possibly be that high? Higher than the dorms? I'm gonna go upstairs and see what the hell this is. This don't make no sense. What is this? Wait a minute now. Let me wait my camera. What is this? Okay, let me. Josh, do you finish?
As soon as you said it's gonna scary something.
Now where did it go? What the? I'm glad I recorded. I just came upstairs and not a thing gone. Oh, hey.
You see? She looks like she's a bit higher than where she was. And she goes to record it again and it's not there. Can't be a light pole. So I found that very interesting. I looked through the comments. No one could debunk it. You know?
No, what was that?
You had some people trying to say it's a light pole, but what, they took it down that quick? I don't think so, man. Anyway, so yeah, just a few interesting videos. I got one more for you, and then I'll show you a few more scriptures proving that, you know, these things are very much biblical, and then we'll close it out. Check this out.
It's a plane with the lights.
No, it's not.
No, it ain't.
No, it's not.
Oh, there's no clouds.
Shh. Quiet.
Look at it. Look at it. Look at it on the camera. It's like a dome. That's a UFO.
Quiet.
What the fuck? Like literally, dude, that's weird in the sky right there.
Dude,
dude, are we watching a comet or shooting star falling?
No, that's not moving quick enough. There's no tail. That's a UFO.
There's no blue or red lights. Something's coming off.
What the fuck?
Whoa, bro. It's coming right here.
Watch, it's gonna shoot into space. Check this out.
What the fuck is that?
Dude, this is nuts.
Look at the UFO around it.
Look how the light's going off in two sides, though.
Look, it's moving. Look at the lights are moving around it. What the fuck? It's hovering. Oh my god.
Oh my god, I see that.
Look, it's going up. It's taking off. No fucking way. What the?
What the fuck? It just went out to space.
What?
It just went out to space.
What the fuck?
It just went out to space.
What the fuck?
Holy
oh my
shit.
god.
Hey guys, Vandenberg could have launched something.
As you were saying,
that could have been Vandenberg.
as you were saying, no alien.
No fucking way.
Bro, that thing
No.
just fucking disappeared.
That video's funny. They're flabbergasted. But yeah, you know, these things are out there. Little green men. Nah, I'm joking. Ain't no little green men. Okay, these are chariots. Actually, I got one more video I want to play. I forgot about this one. This happened, I think, in 2023, and it was over Manchester, UK, the airport at Manchester. Okay, check this out, man. You know, a lot of people did lessons on this, you know, and a lot of people that aren't in the truth, you know, did videos about this. And I just want to bring this back to your remembrance, man, okay? Because when I asked about this on AI, they tried to say it was Chinese lantern. Now you tell me, does a Chinese lantern look like this? And what the hell would a Chinese lantern? They always got an excuse, a stupid excuse for these things, man. Lame excuses. Check this out, man.
Today, something was seen at Manchester Airport. A pilot took this picture of an orb that came down from the sky and it hovered a few inches above the tarmac. Yeah, there's a video of it here. So here you can just about see the circular thing in the sky there.
And it came down and it landed on the tarmac.
This object there.
Now, if any of you know about UK weather, okay, because it was a rainy day that day that this happened, you know damn well ain't no Chinese lantern gonna be just sat there hovering above the runway like that. It's gonna be blowed about like tumbleweed, if that were true.
There's a clearer one there where they sharpened it up. as I said, there's some really strange shit going on over in the UK with
There's-
this stuff at the
yeah.
moment.
Yeah. It's the chariots of the Lord, mate. Okay? You ain't ready for that. Anyway, so I want to show you an account where the one that the world calls Jesus, right, which we call him Yahushai, he he appeared before the disciples for a period of 40 days on and off, and after he was raised from the dead. And basically when he left the earth, he was taken up and a cloud received him out of their sight. Check this out, right? I'm gonna just get to the point. Okay, let's wrap this up. This is Acts 1 and starting at verse 9. It says, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up. He was taken up. What took him up? It says, and a cloud received him out of their sight. Okay. So what is that cloud that received him out of their sight? Now you remember when I read the book of Psalms chapter 104 and verse 3. So it says, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters? Who maketh the clouds his chariot? You remember the scriptures say that the chariots of the Lord are 20,000, even thousands of angels. Right? So the so-called UFOs are not only described as the chariots, but they're described as the clouds. And it says, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. So let's turn back to the book of Acts really quickly. Chapter 1. And what was it? 4? No. There we go. Yeah. So let's start from the top again. Acts 1 and 9. And when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sights, which is a chariot, a so-called UFO. See? It says, and while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel. So those were angels that were described as men. Okay, and they were stood beside him in white apparel, beside the men. It says, which also said, okay, so the angels said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushai, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as you have seen him go into heaven. So when the Lord comes on his second return, which we're approaching that day very shortly, he's coming back in the same manner, which is a fathership, a so-called UFO. Call it a spaceship, whatever you want to call it, man. But the Bible explains what they are. They're the chariots of the Lord, and they're real. And they're very much explained in the Bible, because if the Lord created all things, then where do these things come in? Where, what does the Bible have to say about this part of his creation? It's there. It was always there in the Bible. It's just that you have to be taught this by the ones that have authority to teach you. Okay? You're not going to learn this in Christianity. And there's other scriptures that speak about the chariots of the Lord in the book of Ezekiel. The whole chapter, chapter 1. Ezekiel chapter 1 speaks about it. But like I said, you'll have to be taught that to get the full understanding, because that's a whole in-depth breakdown. Right? So I'm going to leave it there, Point is made, man. There's a lot of sightings happening lately, but it's all preparing for the ultimate day of the Lord's return that's coming, man. All right? And it's the great and terrible day of the Lord, because it's going to be great for the elect and them that are, rejoice at his coming, at the Lord's arrival. And it's going to be a terrible day for those that those that are down with the beast system, that have bowed the knee to the image of Baal, basically. All right, so on that note, Lord willing, you were edified by this lesson. I want to close out and give all honor, praise, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha, Kodash, Shalom.